think we're in for quite a special evening tonight, and I need to remember to keep talking to the microphone. Now, before we get started on a very busy evening, I'd like to ask you to please make sure that your cell phones are switched off or on silent. We practice what I preach. Also, we ask that you please refrain from using your cell phones when we are having a speaker up here. It is quite difficult for the speaker to focus if there's a device involved. If you do need to take a break, please try to time it so that you do not interrupt the speaker. Our restrooms are right across the hall. And then if we do need to get out of this room very quickly, there's an exit on my right, there's an exit on my left, the way you came in, please do so accordingly. We do have a meal break scheduled in an hour or so, so we do have a very long break there. And I think I'm not forgetting anything. With that, I will hand over to our immediate past president, Elsabe, Barnard.
Thank you, Mr. Sergeant. It's been a while. A warm welcome to every one of you. Welcome to Pretoria Advanced Club. Toastmasters is 100 years old this year. It was started by Dr. Ralph Smetty, and he had a vision for creating an opportunity for people to better themselves and learn and practice their leadership and communication skills. He created Toastmasters, and this format spread across the world, hence us sitting here in our little corner of South Africa, having our own Toastmasters meeting. Now, when we look at 100 years of tradition, and 100 years of rules, and 100 years of learning things, we can say the path has been well trained out and figured out. But here at Pretoria Advanced Club, we like to push the boundaries. We like to experiment with new things. I'm so excited for tonight. Tonight is a larger format meeting compared to the one we're used to in our normal clubs. Tonight we're going to split up into two groups because we're just so many people. We're going to do a few things different. We also run our program format differently than traditional other clubs do. But in our experiment, we're trying to get people to push themselves, to learn their communication and leadership skills even better and faster. Tonight I'm thrilled that Paul Mellor, who you probably RSVP'd with, spearheaded this wonderful initiative. And I'm so excited to experience this with you, Paul. Thank you very much. Let's just give him a round of applause. Tonight we'll showcase what the club is about. It's about pushing innovation and boundaries and exploring and seeing what Toastmasters can be about. Like I said, I'm excited, and I invite every one of you to come, to sit, to listen, to learn, to enjoy, to have something to eat, and to network. Because we're a lot of people here, and we're a diverse group of people here together, which we can learn from. And with this, I give over to our first master for the evening, Mr. Paul Mellor.
Stef, do you mind if I try this after? I also just want to see whether, because I might be doing a speech later on. So now I just want to see at the back, minus Stefan, is it going okay over there? Okay, perfect, all right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming along. I think it's going to be a good night for me, for all of of us here at Pretoria Advanced, and I hope especially for you guys here as well. I know that we've started apparently a bit late. I said that we would start at 18:30 in my messages to you, but I lied. I put 18:40 on the program, as you can see, and I know that Toastmasters always like to be on time. And I did it deliberately because I knew that people were coming from as far afield as Joburg, and that some people were bound to be a little bit late. But in particular, I heard from Vusi actually a story that surprised me. There was one guy who was really late. I don't know if you've heard this story this week, but there was a Toastmaster who got lost 10 years ago. Do you hear about this one? No, I mean, it's remarkable, right? Apparently the guy, Bill Smithers is his name, he's a member of a Joburg club. He's an accomplished public speaker, a private pilot's license flyer, and a philanderer. I don't know whether he's accomplished all three, but he has a reputation. So there he was, flying off the coast of southern Africa, and his plane goes over this desert island. There's suddenly a fault, he's got no choice, and he crash lands on the island. It's uninhabited, there's no one around. He puts the beach rocks out, spells out his name, Bill Smithers, SOS. But the rocks aren't so big, the pattern's not that clear. No one comes to this part of the world. Until 10 years go by, the beard's down here like Robinson Crusoe. And then a low-flying aircraft happens to pass over. And he sees this, calls it into the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard immediately dispatches someone. They can't get a ship there, so they send a helicopter straight out. Frogman appears, dives into the water, swims over to the beach, and he just collapses to his knees. He can't believe. First time he's seen someone in 10 years. This neoprene-clad figure of loveliness, curvaceous, a bit like Halle Berry out of one of the Bond movies, appears out of the water. He cannot believe his eyes. And he looks up, and she comes over to him, and she pulls the breathing regulator from her mouth, and these fulsome lips are there. And she says, "Don't worry, Bill. We know all about you. I'm the advance party, and we're here to rescue you." And Bill he can't say anything through his sunburned, cracked lips. So she looks at him, and she reaches over to her left breast, and in, this Frogman suit, she reaches down, she pulls the zip down, and inside she reaches and pulls a bottle of the finest Chateau de Tasse 1998, and a glass, and pours him out a glass. "Just you relax, Bill. All is going to be fine." And he sips this glass, he still can't say a word. And she says, "Well, I'm sure that's not all you want to feast your eyes on." And so she reaches over to the other pocket and she pulls the zipper down. And inside, remarkably, she's got like Dalton china and some silver cutlery. And there's pre-warmed food. And there's the finest Chateaubriand with all the accoutrements. And so she lays this out, and he can't believe it. I mean, he's been living on like coconuts and bugs for 10 years. And now he's sitting there with his fine glass of vintage wine, and he's got this plate of food in front of him. It's all going well, it's delicious. And then she looks at him, and she moves her mask and her hood, and her sparkling, deeply attractive, beautiful eyes gaze coquettishly at him. And she shakes her glowing locks as they cascade from her Zalapa suit. And she says, "Well, now that you've had your wine, and now that you've had something to eat, I guess in the last 10 years, it's probably been a while that you've played around." And Bill's eyes open wide like dinner plates. And he looks at her and says, "God above," as she starts to fiddle with the zip at the front of her suit. He says, "Surely you don't have a set of golf clubs in there." Now the thing about the night tonight for Toastmasters is that here, in my view, is a better way of doing things. And you're going to hear this again in a more aggressive format later. But none of this kind of small meeting, fragmented stuff that suits the corporate super entity. I do admire Toastmasters in many ways, don't get me wrong, but I think this sort of divided way that we were, it's not joined forces as the theme for the mission is here. And you'll get so much more out of a critical mass. I've been around a lot of different local Toastmaster clubs, and I'm coming around a fair few more in the coming months. And I'm delivering a talk on why it makes sense for us to not be parochial, and to try and stand together. Because you come here tonight and you have a glass of wine, maybe almost as fine as the vintage Chateau Midrand 1998, on the tank budget, on our Pretoria Advanced Speakers budget, and you enjoy a meal, which I'm sure will be almost up there with the Chateau Briand, and you get to play around a bit. We play around a lot, right, in this club. We're distinctly different. We do a lot of different things that I'm going to tell you about later, at the end of the evening. But what I'm also going to tell you for now is how we're different tonight. And tonight we're different because we're holding, quite deliberately, a large session where main speakers can be challenged. And I'm looking at a lot of people that I know here, and I know they've been Toastmasters for a while. And I can't really believe that they're being challenged by their current format, in their current club. Iron sharpens iron, and you need critical mass to do that. And for the beginners, who the hell wants to... Very briefly, I once went to a most remarkable tour. It was actually for the City of London Phonograph and Gramophone Society, the oldest mechanical instrument society in the world. And this guy got up and he was shaking away, he was incredibly nervous, geriatric guy, I thought he had Parkinson's. It just turned out he was nervous. And he gave the best talk I've ever heard in my life. And I've listened to Nobel Prize winners speak. And it was a remarkable talk, a remarkable setting. And if you're going to try and achieve that, and you do it, what you don't want to be is the next person after him, right? Yeah. Right, and if you're a nervous speaker, that's not such a nice setting. And so tonight we've got a newbies room, and if you are new, or you're nervous, you just want some training before you step into the bigger arena, then there's a newbie room. And that's how I sort of think that the most useful way of managing Toastmasters would be. And you stay in there, we push you a little bit to come in here, and we put you in with experienced mentors, and you'll see that this runs incredibly differently from a normal Toastmaster meeting. For those of you who've visited our club before, you will know that we have many different template formats that we have honed, we have polished over time. And you're going to experience one of those tonight. It's very focused on prepared speeches. We might not get through the entire list, because I'm going on too long now, but we'll happily drop out the end ones if we need to. But I hope you feel, not just hear, the benefits of this large meeting that we're going to have tonight. Thank you. So at this point we're going to split the rooms. And those people who should be known to themselves, but are basically going to be in the newbie room, the new speakers and the new evaluators. Christine and Elsabe are going to be your senior mentors helping you. Would you please disappear that way, and then we're going to see you again at mealtime, which you'll all congregate back here and enjoy time together over a glass again. The Wordo is not recently, it's invented today. It was invented this week. The Wordo is going to explain what he does. It's very familiar to you, it's just a new name.
I don't think my role is such important. I'm going to do a course for that. But I'm going to be the Wordo for today. I'm going to be the weirdo that sits in the back.
Sorry, I can't hear you. Sorry, I can't hear you.
We're going to have to talk from this. This is all perfect. Here we go. That's Vanessa. Alright, like I said, I'm going to be the weirdo in the back. And that's a little weirdo. So, seeing that I'm talking to the advanced speakers here, everybody's familiar with the word of the day and what that entails. So perfect. Tonight, for this special occasion where we're joining forces, there's not going to be a specific word of the day. The word of the day is going to be synonyms of the word join. So I'm going to be listening. I'll try and conclude listening to speeches wherever possible, just to give you a little bit of a brain teaser so you can think in the meantime for those who's going to be speaking tonight. A few synonyms could be like connect, or combine, merge, or unify, or bond. And there's many, many more. So think if you see how you can do them in your speeches. I'm not sure if there's a prize. Maybe I'll grab you a beer or whiskey or wine at the end of the session, or during, maybe you can have it in 2 sessions. It's going to be a winner, a before lunchtime. You can then come place your order for the winner, can come place the drinks order for me. I'll go buy a drink at the bar, and maybe someone for afterwards if we do get there. Right, so that's from my side.
That's good. I'll buy the drink. Thanks, Brian. I didn't introduce this Brian properly. May I take this off? Thank you very much. So now we're going to move to. We have Grammarian. I'm going to announce her, but she's not doing her normal role otherwise. Because the Wordo is taking over that role. But I think everybody's familiar with the grammarian role. I'm not going to go into roles tonight, we're too busy for that. You will work it out if it's your first time here. So she's got a job looking after good use of grammar and bad use of grammar. The Wordo, for any speakers who are up here, or anyone in the audience who's doing floor evaluations, that sort of thing, if you want to use the word of the day or synonym of to join, just, if you're not sure he's got it, just say, hey, Wordo! And then you can follow your word with the conjunction, the connection, the adhesion, the glue, bonding, episode, whatever it is that you need. Okay, so now we're going to swiftly move on to our first speaker of the night. And our first speaker of the night is going to tell me what I'm doing wrong with this thing in my hand. The first speaker of the night is Stef Viljoen from Vital. And he is talking about an introduction to speaking with a microphone.
Thank you, Paul.
Paul, can I say one more thing? I'm very naughty, I'm not organised, sorry. Can I just say one more thing? Everyone's going to get the light on at 4.5 minutes for their 5-minute speech. And then it's going to go at 6 minutes, and then it's going to go red at 7 minutes. Just so you all know, okay?
Thank you, Paul. Quick question. How many pounds does the camera have?
All of them.
Okay. Any more answers? Okay, now I'm getting lots of answers. And the correct answer is as much as you allow it to do. Yes. This here microphone is, in a sense, it's like a camera. It's up to you how you use it. Okay, I'm not the smallest guy in the world, right? But if I were to just turn a bit, maybe if I was a girl, I'd kick my butt out of it, show those curves, and because I do not like my double chin, I can just, I'm almost like, what do you call it, like, do like a little Egyptian. That way, I could easily lose 20, 30 kilos. And also, well, the lens makes a big difference. But ladies and gentlemen, it's how you use it. There are many types of microphones, mainly from the ones that just come, these headset microphones, or these lapel microphones, or specifically this one. This specifically is a handheld microphone, it's wireless. And it's what you do with it. It's how you use it. This hand of mine might be holding the microphone, but on the other hand, it's a tool. Comedians, Dave Chappelle, Trevor Noah, Nathan Timmel, they all use the microphones to their advantage. They speak very softly, or they can shout. And if I were to shout into the microphone, you'd all be deaf. And I do not want that. But do you see what I did there? I just moved my microphone slightly and adjusted it according to how I speak, to how loud I speak, or how soft I speak. A general rule of thumb for speaking with a microphone, as Toastmasters would suggest, is literally thumb. A thumb's distance from your mouth, and keep it at a 45-degree angle. Cool? You got that? But that's just half of it. The other half is your other tool, your voice. For example, our Paul projected tonight. If you project quite loudly, you can keep the microphone far away, and you will be very audible to your audience. Another pro to keeping your microphone far away is minimizing the plosives, or the S's. Now, allow me to show you. The quick brown fox jumps over the bridge. And that was still me using some voice control I've learned from vocal techniques. Softening my voice, keeping my mouth quiet loose, almost like a stiff upper lip. But still, it is quiet present. And you do need a lot of vocal control to control it. It's not ideal. Thus comes this thing, the microphone grill. It has a little foam inside that makes a hell of a difference. My plosives and my S's are pretty much non-existent. It helps a lot, but as you also heard, when I removed the scroll and the foam, you almost didn't hear it because I'm fortunate enough, I know how to use this thing. I've been using it for a few years now, and I have been doing vocal lessons specifically on using a microphone. Right. But the rule of thumb for you is relax. Just stand up straight, shoulders back. Pretend a little string is pulling you here. Head is somewhat down. And then you just relax your mouth a bit. It might sound like you're mumbling a bit, but you won't be. The microphone will take it away in this case. If you like to speak very softly, I know like Barnard. Okay, I forgot your name, oops. Let's just keep it soft. Keep it maybe just down here. The other reason, well, Toastmaster said you should keep it at about a 45-degree angle, a handheld microphone, is because of its pickup pattern. The pickup pattern, if I hold it like this, you won't hear a damn thing on the microphone. But the more I just try to turn it around to me, you'll see, it becomes more clearer until I'm here at the front. So that is your ideal place to keep it. While I still have a few minutes left, this was a very brief introduction. Rule of thumb, quite literally, relax your mouth, stand up straight, your whole body should be relaxed. Don't necessarily push your plosives, and it's okay to hold it just a bit at a roughly 45-degree angle, maybe even more, like I'm holding it now when you speak. Any questions in the meantime? Very brief questions.
How would a different mic influence how you speak? Different type of mic.
What you mean? Well, a different type of mic, like the ones like a lapel microphone. Well, you would have in both hands. Lapel microphones are generally omnidirectional, meaning they capture sound from all over 360 degrees. And you would have a lot more leeway to do with your hands. Those microphones are more sensitive, and that's about it. You would have to be much more aware of how you speak and how you control your voice volume and how soft you speak, what the audience can hear, what the audience cannot hear. I did that on purpose. That's a big thing about that's one downside to a lapel mic. It's only one position. Yes, sir?
Okay. Your text is very insightful presentation you just gave us. Using a microphone is somewhat of an art. Okay? And sometimes, someone who likes using a lot of vocal variety, it might be a little bit disturbing. But there's something you were explaining now about certain sounds of words and the distance of the microphone to your head. Making certain sounds, you remove the microphone. Making other sounds, you put the microphone closer. So I'd just like you to rephrase the part, which sounds actually requiring to remove the microphone from your mouth and which sounds requiring to bring it closer.
Okay, that'll be the last question, thank you. That is, he asked about when I should keep the mic very close to me or keep it quite far from me. That depends on how loud you speak. The other thing, which I think what you were referring to, are the plosives and those S's. It's called the S-ing. The only advice I can really give to you on that is relax your mouth. Almost like like your mouth is dangling. Your vocal coaches do some weird stuff with these students. In terms of voice, yes. Especially for warm-ups, just relax your mouth. It will take some practice, some perfect practice, and then eventually, as you start getting the hang of it, you'll be much more comfortable with it. Thank you. I hope that answers your question. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Stef, for a great talk on the microphone. And what I want to know is, I have to pass this back to you in reference to that last question. Do you do those helicopter gunship impressions? Can you do those helicopter gunship impressions, from like the A-Team in the 1980s or anything?
Oh, from Police Academy.
Police Academy.
I don't know. Let's try it. I've never done that before.
All very good, thank you very much. Please can we have the timer report? Obviously don't include his latter questions and his helicopter impression in your time, please. 8 minutes 51. Was that before the questions?
No, I didn't realize.
Oh, okay. No, I think you were on time. Because he was outliving with the questions there a little bit, which is fine. We're going to, because in fact what we normally do, and I'll explain now, is we do an open floor bit. But first of all, before we get there, let's ask the grammarian, any issues please? Any comments and compliments?
The only one I have is that I loved it that he said your voice and your mic is a tool, it's how you use it.
Thank you very much. Formal evaluator, you have another couple of minutes, so we do have time for more questions from the floor. So has anyone got another question on the professional non-helicopter machine gun use of microphones? You can project quite well, my lady.
I can speak to you right from here.
All right.
I gave aerobics classes over music for about 7 years. One of the things you mentioned, the vocal coach. So before you do your speech, what are the exercises you can do? Like you mentioned about the lower jaw, but what else can you do to warm up your voice to project better?
Thank you, Vanessa. Projection, that is something I briefly learned from Fernando, which my vocal coach has also taught me. This is how to place your voice in your mouth. Like mostly, men tend to speak very lowly, in a low register. But there's a little trick to how you can force your voice to sit here. You just relax your mouth. Your teeth must not be touching. Your lips must be barely touching. And then you go until your lips start vibrating, and eventually they just come loose. If I may demonstrate. That is more or less where your voice should sit. It should be roughly about here. And when it comes to warming up, there are different warm-ups that you can do, like a simple me, me, ma, mo, mo type of warm-up. Or just like a plosive warm-up, something like that. I'll post a link in the group if you don't mind. And another weird one is, and this is the weirdest one, I always laugh when my coach says, okay, Stefan, now we're going to warm up with this. That helps us get your mouth nice and loose. There are many other warm-ups we can do, from a singing warm-up, we go like a something like that. That's more for warm-up. I think if you want to improve your voice and overall speaking abilities, go to singing lessons. You practice your voice a lot, you learn what to do, what not to do, and you become aware of your voice. Not self-aware, aware, so that you can control it.
Just after COVID, I got mugged into joining the choir. And last time I was in the choir, I was 9 years old. I got bullied into it at school. I did it for a year. I hated it. Everyone was bullied into it. I haven't sung in the choir since. But I got press ganged into it shortly after COVID. And I'm going to press gang you into my choir now. I can hear a future Enrico Caruso there. Right. But singing exercises are probably very good for warming up the throat, as Stef has just intimated. That is now marks the time for our formal evaluation. So, Tommy, please can you come to the floor to deliver your evaluation?
I hope I'll use the microphone correctly. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tommy from Midrand Toastmasters. A very good evening to you, Stefan. What a great and very informative. For me, this was an educational, and it was really an eye-opener for me. Like, I'm standing here right now holding this microphone. There's just a lot of things going on in my head. Am I, projecting the correct way? Am I using it the correct way? So it was really I really enjoyed it. And it was very practical. You really gave practical examples. And I liked how you also used it for your vocal control. So basically when you were speaking and when you were adjusting your voice, if you're going to speak louder, obviously being aware that you move it away. And I like the part where you say it's a tool. And what really matters is how you use the tool. And the fact that you opened with a question and you engaged the audience, you were very comfortable on stage. You were engaging with the audience, you asked questions. That was great. And your speech was humorous. I found it very funny, it was really humorous. You used the microphone strategically, so that's when you were moving it away and moving it closer. I enjoyed the part when I didn't know that you could actually open it up like that. I thought it was just a static tool, and really just opening it up and using it that way, you really used it very well as a tool. You were very comfortable, I think I mentioned that, and you were very much open with the audience. I enjoyed how you answered the questions from the audience as well. Yes, so in terms of what you can improve the next time, you use the word damn thing. I don't know whether maybe it's okay, it's allowed in Pretoria, I'm not sure, but I had a word, just use the damn thing, and I'm like, I don't know if that is the word, I guess, you know, having a diverse audience. I'm not sure if it's okay for everyone, but for me, I was like, okay, I don't know if it's a thing, or if it can be a word that's used, or maybe because it's maybe an informal setting, then you were able to use it, but that's what I picked up. And I found that you were moving a lot. I don't know whether that was the intention, but you were moving a lot, you were here, then over there, but probably also just shows how you are comfortable and confident, how you make use of the stage. Thank you very much. And over to Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Elsabe.
Right, I'm going to put this down now for just a second, whilst we now do another part to this. The difference in this room from the other room, and I will slowly finesse it over the course of the evening, but usually for our club, if we've got an experienced speaker up, and you have invested time in writing that speech, and you're not a person that's horribly averse to criticism and feedback, then basically we make it far harder than in the newbie room, okay? And we do that sometimes all the way up to ad hominem attacks. So we stand there and give you a dressing down. I'm not going to encourage that tonight because we're an unfamiliar audience for the most part. But it is more real, okay? And Toastmasters is very soft, it's quite feminine. You know, it's very American. I'm sorry if that upsets anybody. But it's, you know, it is very soft, and it's a nice way to introduce people into positive feedback. But it's very formulaic, okay? And now is the opportunity for the open floor evaluation to say things. I'm not asking you to be harsh, but I am asking you to be frank. And so it rewards the invested speaker with extra information above and beyond the formal evaluator. So please, comments from the floor for Stef's invested time for his speech. Any other comments, positive or negative?
Okay, I just go against Stef. It was a very great speech, but you didn't need the audience to ask you about examples maybe of vocal training that you can demonstrate us within your speech. You had to integrate that, you had to connect that within your speech. And yeah, but we enjoyed so and above on everything about your speech. And I feel maybe somehow we could have a bit more clear, defined structure, you know, with the introduction, and then we see the body, so the body, and tell us, okay, about using the microphone. This is the first thing, this is the second thing, you know, but yeah, but it was a great speech. So this is me just trying to find something to comment or to critique, but that was a very great speech, and yeah.
Any other quick burning comments? One other. Do you need the microphone? Can you stand up, please, and project to the floor?
I'll try. So, I think that was great. It was also very informative. The only thing for me that was lacking was maybe an introduction to why you're an expert in this particular topic, or something about yourself, a story, or something that will keep us engaged in terms of, you know, why we should listen to you.
And my last comment to you is, I think, my impression was that you know the subject, but you were underprepared for the talk. It will improve with practice. There's my harsh criticism for you. But thank you very much for delivering a good talk. Right, we are now on to our second prepared speaker for the evening. And this is Titi. And she is from Scientia. And we're not going to be so tough with Titi, because she's a very new speaker, but I think she's quite experienced. She's quite a confident speaker, I hear. So Titi, will you make your way up here? let's swap hands for a minute. Do you want the microphone? You don't want the microphone? Okay, so you're going to try and project, and then we're going to use the microphone as substitute. Okay, can I just explain the format to you as well, because I didn't do that sufficiently well. We're familiar with it, and other clubs are not so familiar with it. So what happens now is that rather than the evaluator getting up, and in many clubs they'll go, yeah, and Titi's on a pathway and level, what was it again, Titi? And they can't quite remember, right, most of the time. So what we do is we actually make the speaker do it for the evaluator. This isn't evaluated, and it's they're clearing their throat time, so they can say, pathway this, and I'm getting on the level, and then none of that counts, right? Because then you've got some free time to just build up. Okay, so it's over to you. Titi, welcome to your speech.
Evening, everyone. This is Elsabe. I'm on the presentation mastery pathway. I'm from Scientia, as mentioned. I'm on level 1. This is my second project. I don't know why I'm in this room, but yeah, I guess I'm in the GPA. So I'm going to start. Can you hear me at the back?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, by profession, I'm a mechanical engineer. But I've always had this itch of wanting to understand human behavior. Recently, I stumbled across a concept that has revolutionized the manner in which we understand the human brain. This is neuroplasticity. So now, over 2 centuries ago, it was believed that the human brain does not grow. So it stops growing at a certain age, and that the neurons or brain cells, if they die, they do not get replenished anymore. But groundbreaking research has revealed otherwise. They have revealed that the brain is actually able to adapt to its environment through neuroplasticity. Now, neuroplasticity encompasses various forms of changes within the brain. But tonight, we're only going to focus on 3. That is the structural change, the neurochemical change, as well as the functional changes. So in terms of the structural changes, it is the connectivity that occurs between neurons, so new connectivity, as well as neurogenesis, which is it happens when new neurons get generated inside the brain. This is more of a long-term function of the brain that we use. Long-term memory, as well as improvement to our long-term motor skills. This takes effort and time. And then there's the neurochemical changes. These type of changes, they are more of for our short-term memories. So let's say you're learning something new. That's where we use that kind of change. And then there's the functional type of changes that occurs in our brain. That is when, if we have a side of the brain or part of the brain that dies, another part takes over its function. That is commonly seen in stroke survivors. Now, why is neuroplasticity important for us humans? It enables us to deal effectively with the changing environments. Therefore, it plays a significant role in how we learn, how we memorize things, as well as how we improve our cognitive function. But it has also given us hope with regards to patients of brain cancer, patients who get brain damage, as well as, like I mentioned, the patients who have had stroke. Now, if you're experiencing chronic stress, if you get to intake a lot of alcohol, high processed foods that have loads of sugar, loads of salt, as well as high intake of oils, processed oils, you will have a problem and difficulty with your brain generating neuroplasticity. How do we then make this a bit better for ourselves? We need to start learning new skills. We need to start learning new languages. We need to be able to play new instruments as well. I also noted that one can also do a bit of brain aerobics, where we take our non-dominant hand and we brush our teeth. All right. I also saw on some of the studies that one can do mental rehearsals to improve their plasticity. For example, a person who plays a piano, right? They don't practice, but they're doing it in their brain. And then there's one who doesn't practice at all. The person who practices in their brain will be way better than the person who doesn't practice at all. Now this reminds me of the affirmations, the positive affirmations that we are being taught to say to ourselves. Now other two quick fixes that I read about, okay, not quick, but quick fixes, is having antidepressants. They alter the chemicals in the brain. As well as there's new technology that is occurring where scientists are directing electric current into the brain, which adjusts our neuroplasticity. But now there's also a bit of disadvantage to neuroplasticity. Have you noticed how somebody who is in an abusive relationship will remain there no matter how much it hurts them? Have you noticed how drug users find it so difficult to leave that addiction? That is because of the connections that have already happened in their brains. Now, from Norman, who says, ironically, some of our most stubborn habits and disorders are products of our plasticity. In closing, I'd like to say, us attending Toastmasters, us practicing and memorizing our speeches, us being part of this community is healthy for our brains. And this is neuroplasticity.
Thank you. I feel like we've got to use this now. Okay, that was wonderful. Thank you very much for an interesting talk. I see you drinking water in the background there and sticking to your principles. Unfortunately, I foster my neuroplasticity with a couple of stiff gin and tonics. Please, may I ask for the timer report?
6 minutes, 18 seconds.
6 minutes, 18 seconds is perfect for a relatively new member of Toastmasters, right? Scientia. I was warned that you would do a good job. So excellent, within the 5 to 7 minute time frame, 4 to 6 minute time, 5 to 7, you're not on an icebreaker, normal 5 to 7. And the grammarian report, please. Madam Grammarian, would you like a microphone?
No, thank you. Titi, well done with your speech, I loved it. The only thing I can pick up, a couple of times you started your sentence with so, and now, so just do take note of that. And then you said new studies are occurring that. Maybe you can just say new studies have shown that. And then what I loved about the one thing that you said is to do brain exercises, just by changing your hands and doing your daily habits. So well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Trimore, can I ask you to just go and check in the kitchen for me? Thank you very much. It should be 7:30 prep. Okay, so at this point, Percy is busy getting everything ready from an evaluation perspective. And now it's the time for open floor and questions. So let's test that mechanical engineering brain from a neurologic standpoint. Oh, look, over here we have our famous neurobiologist, Shaun Wilkinson.
Professor Wilkinson.
Titi, is it Titi or Titi? May I ask you to go back to the podium, please, without your paper or book. And then who's the closest? The gentleman in the waistcoat. Let's lose the podium. Let's lose the podium. Thanks. Now, without your notes in your hand, just briefly, in 30 seconds, tell me the exercise and show me what you were doing with your hands for the brain aerobics. I want to hear you as well. Sorry.
Brushing my teeth.
Okay. Explain to us. 1 minute.
Oh.
That part of your speech. I missed that part.
Oh, you missed that part. Oh, so if you brush your teeth with the non-dominant hand, then it also helps with neuron connections.
Okay, so what I was looking for, when you hold the paper and you try and do those gestures, you were like this, and I thought, okay, she's a special case. Because I'm going to direct this airplane. You don't need the paper, you know the speech, you didn't need your notes, and your speech had a lot of gestures and speaking with your hands like an Italian. So lose the notes next time. I think you did very well.
Do we stay up? Stay up. Stay up. Yeah, stay up here. Are there any other questions? But I think constructive criticism, because Titi's new, we don't want to put her off. She's coming back to us. You're coming back to us. Midrand.
I do not have a question, but a gentle reminder for those who can please use the word synonym for join. Currently Titi is ahead, she's going to get a free drink at the moment. She used the word community. So for all other people that's going to ask a question or feedback, you still have the opportunity for lunchtime, or sorry, dinner, to use the synonym for the word join.
Yes, let us combine together. I feel bonded as I move back up here and joint twixt to the hip. Sorry. Well done, Isabel. Have we got anything else though for Titi by way of feedback, please? Try more has something.
Titi, thank you. That was very informative. However, I just want to ask this. Is neuroplasticity related to cognitive science? Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Anything else? Are we running out of floor time for evaluation?
They are combined, yes.
We've got one from Stefan. Stefan, you can project well.
Yes, I can. Thank you very much. You mentioned about abuse victims staying with the abuser due to neuroplasticity, which also argue that abuse victims can heal via neuroplasticity from that said abuse.
Yes, they
Would you
can.
like to explain?
So,
You don't have to, you can stick with just a yes.
So, what happens is that if you take someone out of, obviously they have to agree, if you take them out of that situation, then you're changing the environment. So it means that the brain will start changing and not being dependent on that person abusing them. So yeah, no contact.
I was naughty, I'm the fact checker, and I have the vast internet at my disposal. It's also a source of field from my knowledge that I work from. So just wanted to give that context, it's the positive side of it. Well explained, thank you.
Thank you very much, Titi. Thank you. Yes, Stefan, I forgot to mention, is the fact checker. And there aren't so many talks that he's going to be fact checking for. We don't do it for all the talks. But where it's patently obvious that we could make a member from another club feel uncomfortable, no. But where we can, where we have a factual speech, then they perform a useful role in just keeping us right. And so we do that regularly here as well. Okay, we move on, I think, to potentially food time, do we? All right, so now it's going to be our break. The idea is that we've got hopefully a clean half an hour. We seem to be on time. So we've got a standing meal. I think there are some different options. We asked for that. There should be some healthy options. Although obviously I will be neuroplastically heading towards the greasy food special. My formed habits. And then please socialise. I mean, please just mix and mingle across the floor. I know, come back if you want to sit down and eat here, but also I think plenty of people are just going to be standing and eating and getting to know each other. There's something that I would like out of this is that more of us start to hold joint meetings. Okay, and before we get there, apologies. Yes, the formal evaluation. Can I hand over to you?
Thank you, Paul. And good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Paul, I thought you were going to deny me my moment to shine. How would? So congratulations for a very great speech that you presented. Your speech objectives was to write and present a speech. So we're really strict in looking at how you developed or you prepared the speech and how you were presenting or delivering the speech in front of the audience. You did very great. Congratulations on that. It's not easy to address an audience you are unfamiliar with, because one thing the Toastmasters, we usually speak in front of club members who we're not familiar with. But tonight is a different experience, but you did it very good. So for that, I would say you are not a new speaker at all. You did very great with your stage comfort. You were comfortable with what you were here on stage. Your voice was very clear, and we could follow through your speech and all the points that you were making. And then what you also did particularly well, since preparing and developing a speech is what you're also looking at, is the structure of your speech. You spoke about the 3 changes that happen to the brain, and then you also started telling us about some health tips that we need to use for a better taking care of our brain health. You did very well, and then there was a call to action in your speech. You were telling us on how to maintain good health brain through learning a new skill, through learning a new language, through also practicing and learning an instrument. So that was very great. However, you would need to improve on the following aspects, especially when you started. You were holding on to the lantern, and then you went on with your speech, and then you went back on again, and then you held on to the lantern. Probably you should practice delivering a speech without having a lantern. And then also make use of your entire stage space, because you wanted to move about, and we understand you couldn't take, a long distance, but then you tend to be focused on this side more than the other side. So just use your entire stage. And it would also look in your introduction, you could also be more effective, because you held on to notes majority of the time when you were presenting. That restricted you to make use of your body language or gestures. So to challenge yourself next time, you might consider releasing notes, and then you might also consider letting go of the lantern and just present direct to the audience. And also, when you are speaking on a complicated subject such as neuroplasticity, you might want to consider using everyday language that people can understand. And thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Percy's in forum and in the lead. Thank you very much for providing that evaluation. So earlier, as it was kicked off by Professor Wilkinson at the back, it was kind of questions and evaluations. So I think we'll not do any more evaluations for you now, and we will call it a break. So I will formally smack the gavel, and you are released to the bar.
But today we thought that for so many people, it's so nice to have a formal segment for a proper meal.
In our own club, we often sit there and we enjoy the meal and chat, and then sort of eat whilst people are talking. We have a bit of free time, and then we usually overlap that bit. But today it was better for the networking, sit down, say hello, etc., etc. And I think if you're going to invest some time on a weeknight, okay, a school night, if you're going to invest some time on a school night, it's nice to have a glass of something, it's nice to be fed, and it's nice to have some space to not get indigestion. So, and still get something useful out of it. So now we have another speech. It is by the lovely Marina Martin from Scientia. She is an experienced speaker. Did you hear that? And the males of Scientia are not in their cheerleading costumes. But Marina, excuse me, the flu coming to its fore. Marina is going to do a speech entitled Just Another Day at the Office. Just another day at the office. Please can you come up, deliver your pathway and your aims of this particular speech. And Marina has said that she would appreciate questions, so keep the questions as questions afterwards, and then when we come to evaluation, we'll do the formal evaluation bit first, like I didn't do with Percy, and then we'll do the floor evaluation. Okay, and so that's the format for it now. Marina.
Engaging humour, level 1, and I am looking for evaluation and feedback. Thank you very much. The purpose of my speech tonight as well is to entertain with humour and to give you a glimpse into my world of the rich and famous, as you will hear in my speech. Timer. I woke up with a jolt in my hotel room in the wee hours of the morning, to the raucous sound of my alarm. It started off as a gentle serenade, but it quickly became louder and louder until it was a crashing symphony. Groggily, I reached out and I turned off the alarm, and the symphony was silenced. Pulling myself out of the dark abyss of sleep, I thought, nobody told me that I would have mornings like this when I signed up for corporate air hostess training 20 years previously. I had visions of exotic destinations and a life of glamour and elegance. But let me tell you, at 1 o'clock in the morning, glamour and elegance seemed like no more than a mirage in the desert. Oh, yawning and stretching, I blinked the sleep out of my eyes. I had a busy day ahead of me. I was the air hostess on a private jet, and I had a full day ahead. A flight from Switzerland to Nigeria, 6 hours, and I had 8 passengers on board, and they would all expect exemplary service. I needed to get going. I had a lot to do. I quickly pulled on my uniform, my hat, my gloves, and I grabbed my bags, and I headed downstairs. It was a cold, crisp Geneva morning. The captain and first officer were already waiting for me in the lobby, and they were there together with the chauffeur, and he had arrived in a car that was fit for a royal convoy. Quickly, we loaded our bags, and we gratefully prepped inside the car into the warmth to begin our journey to the airport. The driver pulled away slowly from the hotel, and at the top of the street there was a set of traffic lights. And as we approached, they changed from amber to red, and the driver stopped. Now everything was dark outside. It was silent. It was peaceful. And the gloom was only broken by the soft glow of the street lamps around the hotel. Suddenly, from out of a side street came a group of young men, laughing, talking, shouting, and singing. Clearly, on a celebratory night out. Their antics were fit for a sideshow, and I had a ringside seat in the front of the vehicle. They staggered towards us. Suddenly, the one young man stopped, and he looked across the road. There was a pillar box on the opposite side of the road, built of brick and about 6 feet tall. And in his drunken wisdom, he decided that it would make an excellent climbing opportunity. So according to his friends, to help him, they crossed the street. And with much pushing, shoving and heaving, eventually the young man climbed on top. Once up there, he stood somewhat unsteadily to his feet, regained his balance, and then slowly put his arms out to the side. Now he held that angelic pose for a few seconds, and then slowly he began to lean further and further back. And as I watched in wide-eyed disbelief, he leaned further and further backwards until he eventually toppled backwards into a large green hedge that was growing behind the pillar box. And he disappeared. The traffic light turned green. The driver pulled away, and I was left pondering the fate of the drunken acrobat with the eternal question, what happened next? I'm happy to say that the rest of our journey to the airport passed without incident, as did my flight from Switzerland to Nigeria. And it was many hours later that I eventually arrived in my hotel room in Lagos. Now, one of the important parts of my job is to do the meal planning and the catering for the next day's flight. And I put a lot of preparation and a lot of effort into all the details. But even so, my ordering of the food can sometimes turn into a high-stakes culinary adventure. And I still need to dodge the odd curve wall. So, as soon as I get to the room, I phone downstairs to the executive chef and I place a meticulous order for a hot breakfast for the next day. He understands exactly what I need, and the order is placed. I breathe a sigh of relief. At last, I can relax. But, no. The universe has a completely different plan. 10 minutes later, the phone rings. It's the captain. Marina, we don't have 8 passengers tomorrow. We only have 4. Fantastic. Good news for me. 4 passengers, individual service, less work for me. Brilliant. And I have the chef on speed dial. I'll quickly adjust my order. Done. I relax again. 2 hours later, the phone rings once more. Marina, oh my gosh, it's the captain again. My heart sinks. What's going on now? Marina, we don't have 4 passengers tomorrow. We're back up to 8. Oh my gosh. It is 11 o'clock at night. The chef is long off duty. What a dilemma. What am I going to do? So, I call room service. The phone is answered by a delightful woman, chatty, cheerful, and helpful. And I explain to her in great detail, once again, all the changes that have to be made to my hot breakfast order for my 8 passengers for the next morning. My detailed explanation is met with silence. A pregnant pause. No answer. And in my mind's eye, I can see this poor woman wrestling with all the information that I have just given. Eventually, I hear her cheerful voice on the other side of the line. And she asks me, would you like a pizza? So, as you can see, my day began at 1 o'clock in the morning with the raucous sound of my alarm. I was briefed I flew across continents for 6 hours, and then I ended my day at 11 o'clock at night with a culinary curveball. For most people, any one of these incidents would be extraordinary. But for me, it was simply another day at Barnard.
Another thing that we sometimes do is we ask people to self-reflect, the experienced speakers, on how they feel. They usually have a feeling as to whether something went right, went wrong, you know, where it started to go wrong, etc., before the evaluator does it. So, Marina, can I put you on the spot? And can you do a little bit of self-reflection whilst I, in a very relaxed manner, sip my wine? And you describe to us what you think you can improve, please.
Well, I must say that I've done the speech a few times, so I do have that advantage. And the more I've given it, the more fun it's been. Perhaps my movement across the stage, I am expecting that comment to come up. That is something that I do need to work on, so any tips or advice with regard to that would be greatly appreciated. And I hope it was loud enough for everybody to hear, because I really didn't want the microphone because I wanted to use my hands.
Now, I've got to thank you. Do you want to grab a seat for a minute?
I'll do that.
Or you can just hover here, because we're going to do questions, but I'll grab the microphone, because otherwise Stef is going to be very upset with me. And it is actually a privilege to have this, because this is also an experiment tonight, the use of the sound system. And quite nice for us to be able to do it, so I really appreciate the effort that Stef put into getting all of this set up. Whilst I was running around late this afternoon, panicking about how I was going to get here, he was here like 3 hours earlier, gin and tonic in hand, in a relaxed manner, setting up all of this. Top man. Okay, before I hand over the floor, I've got to say one thing, a little confession. I grew up in Nigeria when I was about 9, 10 years old. And if you ever are back there, just order cow's poof soup and jollof rice. You'll have plenty. That's fine. Okay, do we have any questions from the floor, please? No. Now is the time for questions from the floor, not the formal evaluators. Because it gives the formal evaluators, the way we've positioned this, see, I wrote this, but I don't actually practice it. But we've done this for a year, but I get all the Toastmasters to try and do it when we're sticking to this template. So what we do is that we have the competition time period that you, as a formal evaluator in Toastmaster speech competitions, that you get, roughly speaking. So that we give you as a clean time period. But usually in the competitions, as you well know, you get told, shh, be quiet. We can't stand that. So we fill it with questions for the person, but not evaluations at this point. So it's just genuine questions about life as an air hostess, for example, life with the rich and the famous, or any other comments that are not evaluations. Please, anyone?
Yeah. Marina, thank you. That was such a nice speech. All I want to know is I really want to know the end of the story, actually. Also, what did you do the next morning when they had breakfast? I just want to know what happened at the end of that story.
What actually happened the next?
Yeah.
What happened the next morning?
So what happened
at breakfast? Was it just cornflakes, or was it Rice Krispies?
I went through everything again with her point to point to make sure that she wrote everything out. And fortunately for me, the chef was coming back on duty quite early the next morning. So I said, just give him the information I've given you, and then he will sort it out. So we were fine. I would have made a plan regardless.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. I think it was an excellent speech. I've heard you give that speech before, and it's quite remarkable to me that how much you remember every single thing that happened, and the descriptive language that you use without using paper as a cue card, any crutch. It's quite remarkable how you're able to repeat that speech so in detail, and I think that's a very good skill to have, because all that detail colors in the whole experience. the way the guy falls into the hedge. You know, it puts us right there. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Werner. Werner is from Pretoria East. So we're getting plenty of feedback from all the clubs, senior excos here tonight. Thank you. So now we do move to the formal evaluation part, but can I just please check, Yuri, are you ready for the evaluation? Fantastic, thank you. Hand over to Yuri. Yuri is also a very experienced Toastmaster from Pretoria East.
Normally don't need the lecture, I'm just putting it here so I have to juggle all of these different skills tonight. Very nice, fantastic speech, like Werner said, we've heard before at Pretoria East. I really want to say the same thing Werner said, is that the use of your language is phenomenal. You use phrases like you groggily pull yourself out of the darkness of the abyss of sleep. Like, yo, where is this woman coming from? I feel asleep, I feel like pulling myself out of the raucous sound and the gentle support, the serenade of your alarm, starting off and then going into this crescendo of waking up. The mirage in the desert, the gestures and your face and your pauses is on point. The use of your language, the use of your voice, the use of pauses and timing, your pace when you want to accentuate something, it's phenomenal. So obviously you're an accomplished speaker and a well-done speech. Almost to the word the same as what you did before, from memory, without any cards. Fantastic speech. I do want to say that something I think you can improve on is trying to project your voice a little bit more. It would have been nice to be able to have a mic just hang there so you can still use your hand gestures. As a speaker, I would prefer having to be able to use both my arms. But this is a skill that I think Toastmasters need to learn. So this is a great thing to be able to experiment with. So the thing I want to say about that is that as a Toastmaster, you want to be able to speak at different locations and different audiences, but under different conditions as well. And having to learn that skill comes from practicing the skill, right? So, speech delivered very well, the use of language, fantastic, the use of pace, the use of pauses, absolutely great. I felt part of your story. You really took us along on the journey. You know, describing the scenery so well that we really felt that we were there, sitting in the car next to you, traveling across the countries with you in the plane, and sitting there next to you listening, trying to see how you're going to figure out what's for breakfast the next morning. So overall great speech. The thing I want to encourage you is somehow to find a way to project your voice a little bit more. You're a soft-spoken person. You've got a beautiful voice. Try and find a way to just lift it up somehow. I like what Stef said earlier, you know, practice your voice, go for singing lessons or something like that. Just find a way to get the full body of your voice out into the audience. But fantastic speech, and I look forward to seeing more speeches from you as well. Thank you.
Very good, sir. Thank you very much for helping. Okay, we're running slightly behind, but I don't care. There's a wonderful speech and it deserves some input. So can I ask now for floor evaluations? They can be harsher, or they can just be honest and complimentary. Marina is shaking her head. I know she wants people's opinions, genuine opinions as well. So let's supplement Yuri's good work and make some other points. Boosie's got his hand up there first.
Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster. Marina, what a great speech. The description, the setting. I mean, I imagine myself, it took me through out the world. I was in Abuja, Nigeria. So that is it's a gift, and the use of words is something else. I don't know. I mean, I was listening and kept on saying, That's how the speech touched me. And at the same time, more important, I mean, I can listen to the voice driving the car from here to Cape Town. I was describing the setting, all the good things. And I wonder at times, I imagine if it is a bigger audience in that setup, how will you make sure that everyone gets to hear the speech, especially someone at the back? And it's a balance of two things. It's not bad in terms of, I mean, following the speech, that was perfect, voice, the description and everything. It is that balance that came from the evaluation where you say, if it happens that you are speaking in a community hall, then you might want to be out of that. But listening to you as a story reader, that is something else fantastic. Thank you.
Over to Stef from
Yes, the best club. Thank you, Paul. Marina, this is the second time I'm hearing that speech. I enjoyed it. I could hear you projected your voice a bit more. However, sitting here actually behind you, they say was to my advantage this time. Normally I can hear quite clearly, but whenever you turned your head towards that side of the audience, I struggled to hear you. And I've got hyperacusis, sensitive hearing. I should have been able to hear it. I really thought, well, Toastmasters is a safe space. You are allowed to make mistakes, you are allowed to experiment and try new things. I'm quite upset that you didn't try with a microphone at least, and specifically, as I mentioned earlier, I thought you would have benefited from this the most. The one thing about speaking softly is, some of you might have noticed it in series, a lot of these actors, they speak so softly and so low. They literally speak from their chest. It's almost like they are whispering, but it's loud because the sound guys or girls get the mic close to the actor so they can get all those details. You would have been, I think you would have benefited from this greatly, but nonetheless, other than that, the speech was wonderful. Thank you very much.
I'm going to cheaply allow myself one more thing, if you will allow me. Will you come out here to join me for a minute? This is not to be overly harsh either. It's an impression. You guys can equally be harsh back on me if I get to deliver my speech later, but it's useful. I really think this is useful. I heard that speech before. You're a wonderful speaker. Everyone said that, we all acknowledge it. But people have little tells, you know, like at the poker table. So some people look like they use their face, and some people don't look like they use their face, right? You're a person that uses your face. So your face, when you've told this story a few times, I can tell this isn't the same way that you would have told me over a dinner party conversation. Okay? So I think that your facial gesticulations don't quite match the energy that you give in the speech. And so it makes it feel like it's not fresh. All right. Now here's the honest thing. Who else felt that in the room? Hands up. Okay. That's why I wanted you to come to the front. And that's if you could somehow freshen that so that your face matches, your energy of your body and your face matches your speech, that's you nailed it at competition level. You need a new Toastmaster. Really demanding of people who are Toastmasters when they're standing up here. I haven't done it for about 6 months. Sorry, timer report, please.
8 minutes, 6 seconds.
8 minutes, 6 seconds, so slightly over. Sorry. Okay, and grammarian report, please. All clean as a whistle, beautifully spoken. Okay. Anybody got anything else to say before we move on? Boozy?
Without the microphone, I was standing to project my voice. I want to highlight the use of the hand gestures. For me, that was something that I noted. It's something that was standing out on the speech. It's something that I would like to highlight.
But good hand gestures.
Good hand.
Yeah, I thought the good hand
gestures.
gestures.
Not really.
Yeah. Very focused.
On the hand gestures.
Yes.
got one more comment.
Yes, using the stage. I think, like you said, it was Nigeria and Switzerland. You could have broken the stage up, maybe. That way, it was like maybe breakfast early and how you got up, then the flight, and then maybe come back to the beginning and have that where you talk again about getting the breakfast ready for the next flight, the next morning.
Thank you, everybody. So, we close Marina's speech and we move to the next portion. Not quite on time, but, you know, we're getting there. So now, I would like to announce that our next speaker is Jaco. Now, I haven't heard Jaco speak before, and he's another young speaker from Scientia. And Christine, who helped me organise the event today, thank you very much, Christine's not in the room yet, but she encouraged him to speak in this venue rather than the other, in which he's very welcome to deliver his speech of Listen Up. Listen Up, Jaco Christoffersen.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jaco Christoffersen, but Jaco is fine. I've been called many things before. My speech, well, I'm doing at level 1, I'm doing motivational strategies. But, so my speech is doing a speech with purpose, and my speech is actually focusing, I just decided to be cheeky and do the purpose of a speech as that of my topic. Just warming up my voice. Excuse me. Yeah. I'm gonna signal you out in my speech. Honorable President, in these very chambers, just 5 days ago, you broke Parliament. Please understand, Honorable President, when I use the term honorable, I use it for the respect out of the traditions and conventions of this august house. But please don't take that literally, Honorable President, for you, Honorable President, are not an honorable man. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, guests, that was a speech by the famous Musi Maimani, you know, the broken man speech. And what was just delivered hopefully encapsulates what I hope to convey tonight. That a speech transcends the mere words that are spoken from the orator to a crowd. A speech has a vitality of its own. A speech understands the audience and its context. The speech creates a gateway for people who are stuck to find a place to move to. A speech discerns the yearnings of an individual. And most importantly, a speech acts as a catalyst for change. Tonight we'll be going on a journey in which I will be doing, or be saying, 3 speeches which I think have the most profound impact on South African soil. A speech for hope, a speech for belonging, and a speech for truth. So, Mr. Toastmasters and fellow guests, listen up. It's 1964, Pretoria, and this is not any ordinary day in the Supreme Court of Pretoria. This would be a day that will be marked in history. Tall, charismatic, self-assured, Nelson Mandela, the first accused, opening up the defense for what we know as the famous Rivonia trial. A speech of hope. During my lifetime, I have participated in the struggle of the African people. I fought against white domination. I cherished the ideals of a free society, a society of racial harmony and equal opportunity. These are the ideals I hope to live for, ideals I hope to achieve. But if needs be, these are ideals which I hope to die for. It was said that Nelson Mandela's legal team could hear a pin drop in the auditorium. Silence. If you lived in South Africa during that time, you would know that oppression, abuse, and exploitation was the menu of the day. And yet, one man's speech is able to shift the tide and bring about hope. The whole global community calls for the release of all these trialists. Even the UN is known to be stating the complete emancipation of not only the trialists, but all political prisoners in South Africa. One speech is able to affect the change of hope. You could feel the excitement in the air. What's he going to say? What's he going to do? The Marikana massacre was one of the most tragic events in South African history. With the causing of strikes caused out of 35 men to be gunned down due to growing disillusionment with South Africa's mining conditions haven't really improved since after apartheid. And well, cue Julius Malema. We have come here today to listen to you because people are afraid to come to you, especially the people you voted for. They've turned their backs on you, comrades. They think of you as the enemy, but we have decided to listen to each one of you. A masterful speech. He removes all political association and he says that, hey, I see you. I feel you. He creates a sense of belonging. A speech to effect change through that of belonging. Corruption, deception, falsehood is a reality of the nation we live in. But what worsens this reality is when it's the leaders which we elect which perpetuate this reality. However, once in a while, in times of tumultuousness, there will be someone who stands up for truth. I don't know, but there's something about someone who stands for truth in the midst of darkness, which humanity will be drawn like a moth to a flame. So, finally, but not least, a speech for change through that of communicating truth. Something I think the most important thing, or the most important purpose of a speech. But let me not try to persuade you, but let me finish off with a broken man's speech by Musa, my man. Mr. President, we heard you speak these cold and empty words from your prepared text. For 6 years, you have run away from 738 counts of corruption, racketeering, and fraud. For 6 years, you've lived each and waking moment planning to avoid the day in court. This broken man in front of us leaves in his path of destruction a broken society, a broken SARS, a broken NPA, a broken SIU, and a broken economy. My fellow constituents, we live in a broken society because the abuse does not stop.
Well, I have to say, Jaco, it's the first time I've met you tonight. And I feel sorry for the next experienced speaker. Very, very good. I'm still going to be encouraging that we treat you as a newbie, because you are a newbie. But that was a powerful piece of oratory practice. It was extremely good. Great facial gestures. And let's not get into the evaluation. I always wonder right. Let's not do evaluations. Let's do, it's a very interesting topic. Let's first, before we get there, do the timers report, please.
6 minutes, 44 seconds.
Straight on the mark. And please, can we get some grammarian commentary?
You've used so many words and phrases that I liked. My pen couldn't move fast enough, but what I loved about one thing you said, speech that really impacts is the one for hope, belonging and truth. And when you said, I see you, I feel you, a speech of belonging, that's something I will definitely take into my speeches going forward.
It's also an appropriate speech for the fact checker, actually. Is there any comments from there? No comment is fine.
No comments.
Okay, in that question, in that case, please, can I actually find out now if we've just got some general questions from the floor for young Jaco, please?
You said this is your, what, second speech? It didn't come across. You seem like a very seasoned speaker and well done. You practiced that and it came across. You didn't need the templates at all. But you also used it to your advantage and when you did research. So well done.
Question from Yuri.
It's more not a question directed to you, it's more a question for the more experienced Toastmasters. You used a lot of great speech, fantastic speech, well delivered, great skill and talent. The thing I want to question is, I know that people in contest levels have been disqualified for using too much of someone else's content in their speech. So I don't know if there's maybe an experienced judge or someone that could just comment on that. In this speech, I felt it was great use of the other people's speeches, but a comment from my side is just be careful not to make too much of the speech someone else's content. And I don't know if there's someone else that can comment on that.
As far as I remember, the contest rule stands 25%. Shouldn't be more than 25% of the speech.
Okay. Last question.
Okay.
So Paul, when we looked it up here, you referred to him as a young man. And I come from a footballing background. There was a lot of questions around when people play well. Are they ready for the age? Or is it the true age? You speak like a really mature person, and I want to comment on you. Nothing about what you spoke sounded really bad. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to take your seat? Once again, thank you very much. Okay, I think Vuzi, you're up. Vuzi Nkosi, who is from Prorelations and is kindly doing the evaluation for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster. The connection is indeed palpable. So, yes, I'm evaluating a great speech, giving feedback. Wow, what a great speech. I'm really touched by the speech. And what is important for me on the introduction part, when you started at first, when you announced your pathway, I looked at you and I said, hey, what is coming up? Because sometimes it becomes so tough, but when you jump into a Musmaimani, and that is what is important for me, is the vocal variety. When you mimic someone, I must feel that I heard this somewhere. So the tone was not the same. And then eventually, it took me to 1964 in the dock. And when you are in the dock, you are not just using your own tone of voice, but you are using the voice that was used during that time. So for me, that was quite important. And when it comes to a speech, it is a research speech. So I need to feel that indeed you did go out and do research on the subject. So, and in that research, you must come back and structure your speech from the introduction part, the body, as well as the conclusion. I did see that when it comes to your speech. As a point of tip, I want to make everyone aware that when we are using quotation, I've used this before quoting Winston Churchill, and someone corrected me, and that person was from England. I said, no, please, man, that is not, and with the language from England as well. So when you used Nelson Mandela's quote in the doc, and he said, please, you must take it with a positive note as well. And he says, I fought against a white domination. It is important as well to mention and say, I've also fought against a black domination. Because that on its own can create a problem. Because here it is describing two dominations that he has fought against. So when we use one, you might make me feel somehow to say, oh, it is only so. But when it comes to quotation, it is something that we have to take into account. And at the same time, there's a comment that came out, and I thought I must include it on the evaluation when it comes to describing using references or research. So what is important as well, and I always tell people that let us hear your voice as well. So you are using this as tools to support what you are trying to convey to the audience. Did I hear your voice? Yes, I did hear your voice. So that was important to me. It is like when you do referencing, it is only reference, or someone is submitting a research and is only submitted the references and without their own voice, then it becomes a challenge. We always want to hear your story. So it was an important question that was raised. What are you trying to say in quoting all these people? So I'm really impressed, given that it's your second speech, and how you delivered the speech, your vocal variety, your hand gesture. At some point there was that, whoa, bang, and it woke me up. I concentrated on the speech, so it was thought-provoking.
Really brilliant. Actually, fantastic evaluation. If we had a star evaluation, it would be this so far. Wonderful. So rolled in everything, evaluation, fact-checking, wonderful examples. Okay, now we're going to shorten this a little bit. I just want 2 questions or comments that are not overly critical, because he's new. We want him to come back. Any other comments so that he feels invested in his speech? One from Titi over here, please.
Jacob, you did really well. I think as a fellow Scientia, I'm very impressed. And then it's very motivating seeing you speak in front, the way that you were projecting yourself, your emotions showing. I think it took me to wherever we were going here. You did very well, and congratulations.
Very nice. And someone else had their hand up? Yes, please.
Yo, thanks, Juan. Jacob, it was a very great speech. Very emotional, and you really touched my heart. What I really liked about your presentation is your vocal variety. You have very good vocal variety. The way you make pauses, it makes what you're speaking about to be understood by the audience. I need to commend you on your use of pauses. But there's just one other thing I need you to consider fixing with your vocal variety. The speed at which you speak. Because sometimes you can tend to speak a little bit faster than you're missing what you're saying, Jacob, and then we need to try to play catch up. But yeah, but your pauses and your breaks, they're very good. So with vocal variety, it's the pause and the breaks, it's the volume, and it's also the pace. So the pause and the breaks are very good. Just look at the pace at which you speak. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Have I done my job? I think so, but then it's time to move to the next speech. And that is Werner. Sorry for you. Werner is from Pretoria East. He is the VP there. He's a whole round nice guy. He is doing a title called "You Don't Need to Know It All." You don't need to know it all.
Yes.
Werner, will you please come up and clear your throat for 30 seconds? Tell us the pathway, what your expectations of this speech are, please.
So my pathway is engaging humour, and my speech is level 3.2. It's my second pathway, and I've given the speech. I've practiced it hundreds of times. So there's a couple of research questions that I want to answer for myself about the speech, but mostly vocal variety. I think I tend to be quite monotone when I become a little bit nervous, and I do use some cue cards, so shots will be fired, but I'll just ignore them. I've got a lectern to take cover, so it doesn't bother me. Just general comments, but mostly vocal variety. The others I'll just ignore. We see how it goes. That's all from my side.
Simon.
Yes.
I'm going to suppose that you are not scientists. So what would be an easy way for you to learn about a bicycle's mechanics, material science, and its ability to defy gravity? Well, there are many ways, of course, but one way is to ride your bicycle straight over a protruding tree stump while absent-mindedly freeing downhill, tumbling over the handlebars before coming to an abrupt halt. Now, you would imagine that before my little accident, but especially thereafter, that I would have a very good understanding of a bicycle's features, components, and contours down to the slightest level of detail. Yet, fellow Toastmasters and guests, one day when I was asked to draw a functioning bicycle, I was completely unable to do so. It turns out it's not just me. Many research studies have shown that people are unable to draw a functioning bicycle or to explain in the broadest of terms even how a toilet works. We all walk around with this illusion about how much we know about the world, our occupations, how to follow a recipe, or to raise children. To paraphrase the former US Secretary of Defense, Donald Rumsfeld, famously said, there are known knowns. That is to say, there are things we know. There are also known unknowns, the things we know we don't know. And there are also the unknown unknowns, the things we don't know we don't know. The world is complex and we know less about it than we would like to think. It took no less than 500 years for people to realize that the stuff that makes firecrackers go kaboom can also be used as gunpowder in firearms. But if we barely know anything about the world, shouldn't we feel overwhelmed about how little we know, how much we still have to learn? How do we not end up buttering our kneecaps? But there's no need to panic. There's no need to feel like an imposter inside your own body. You don't need to know it all. There are a number of things you can do to remind yourself that you are a skillful, competent individual. Number one, you and your skills are not competing with anyone but yourselves. As the ancient Toltec wisdom advocates to just do your best and to stay true to your own values. The second thing is that you do not need to know it all. We can rely on other people's expertise. I mean, what exactly is the formula for formula milk? And who cares how they make that stuff in any case? My point is that we cannot know everything there is to know about the world, following a recipe, raising children, playing a musical instrument, or whatever. But there are many devices to help us feel less overwhelmed, and we can transfer what we do not know and cannot remember onto the environment. For example, writing your responsibilities and tasks down on paper, telling your colleagues about something important, or in Donald Trump's case, tweeting about it, but I digress. Our knowledge about the world is limited, but admitting when we don't know is the first step towards education. My inability to draw that functioning bicycle serves as a metaphor for how our knowledge progresses. First, we think we know, only to later realize for ourselves we didn't actually know. But regardless, our ignorance shouldn't stop us from being confident in our beliefs and our abilities. We can still learn things with confident humility. Confidence because our brains won't allow us to stop learning and mastering new skills. And humility because, like me, that fateful day on that bicycle, there's always the off chance you get stuck.
Well, speeding along, please can we have our timer report? Perfect, absolutely perfect, well done. 5 minutes 38 for those of you here. And grammar report, please.
The two things that stood out to me is we don't know what we don't know, and the second one, amongst many other things, is you are not competing with anyone except yourself. Thank you very much.
Okay, quick check for fact checker. Anything you want to mention?
Slightly pedantic about the timeline from fireworks to gunpowder. There's varying sources. One that says from 300 AD to 15th century.
Yuval Harari is the reference. So, don't know. He's an historian, so I don't know if he's correct, but
That counts as a great counter straight away. The Israeli historian is referenced with the fact checker back. Perfect. That's what we like though, because we like that bounce, so that people are tightened up, and if they're giving that to a professional audience afterwards, for example, maybe it's a work audience, whatever it is, that you are just checked and sharp. It's amazing what people sometimes find. You know, it's useful, or at least you demonstrate, as you just so rapidly did, that you have researched this, okay, and cross-checked. Lovely. All right, we're going to move on to one question from the floor, I think, as we're slightly behind time. Are there any burning questions on how to draw a bicycle? No questions as yet? Well then, before I ask the evaluator, are they feeling ready, by the way? It's Annalise.
Putting me on the spot.
Are you ready? Because I'll ask a question if not.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, who else did you reference out of this for this talk if we put you on the spot? Yuval Noah Harari, the famous Israeli historian, great one, okay. What else did you use to compile this? Another central source.
Donald Rumsfeld. There's another book, The Knowledge Illusion. where there's a book by Donald Salt, The Knowledge Illusion, which forms the basis of the speech. I still haven't found the formula for formula milk, so it wasn't referenced. The Four Agreements by that I think it's a South American author, very popular book. I think it's highly regarded and can highly recommend it as well. And then also some cognitive psychology things in there as well, and something about humility.
So you like to abuse yourself and listen to Jordan Peterson podcast too?
No, not really.
Annalise, may I ask you, are you ready?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Barnard, really enjoyed your speech. You asked me in the beginning to focus on vocal variety. One thing that I definitely found was your speech isn't really very vocal variety friendly. But the story that you started off with about the tree stump and then you took a tumble, I think there you could have almost included someone like you heard faintly a voice shouting, "Watch out," or something to include the vocal variety thing. You're knowledgeable about your topic. I think you definitely realize that you've went through the motions. It's clear that you've shown the science and that, and if you try to draw something, then you are stumped. So you included the audience. I think you split your time evenly between the left and the right. You had a good rapport with the audience. Things that you might want to work on is the use of the stage. I found a little bit, for me, it was like you were pacing. If it was more deliberate, it was like where you had to know what you know, maybe divide the stage in four, where you know what you know, where you know what you don't know, and then end off, and then maybe walk between them. Another thing that I found was the lectern, from my taking, it was behind you. So what you did is you turned your back on the audience. Be careful for that. You lose the audience that way. Rather, maybe put it to the side, so that even if you look at the people, you can just look at it on the side instead of behind you. And then one thing that I want to challenge you is use pause more in your speech. Because I think, especially the one where they have the quotes, let it sink in, like Donald Trump tweet. But I think it adds emphasis to whatever you want to say, without being over dramatic or anything. But other than that, I really enjoyed your speech. Good luck.
Okay, we've got time for 1 or 2 floor evaluations, please.
Not really an evaluation, but more for a question. How do you describe how toilet works?
Come on, you don't have to make it. Can I have a valid? It's a great line, one-liner there. I hope you don't use that in the bar afterwards. Can I have a floor evaluation, please? Frizzy.
There's a lesson that I'm taking from Werner. When you have a speaker, you have someone that is loud, and immediately after you must go. It can be a challenge for many people. But I loved how you handled that, by being authentic. And in the process of being yourself, you've left us with lessons. You tell everything that you've spoken about. You are not competing with anyone. You talked about your values. We can build on other people's expertise. And why I'm mentioning this, you see this in any type of a setup. that when you have to go after someone, it becomes a bit of a challenge, and you move away from the key points, and those key points, you find that they are life-changing for someone who's in the audience. So it is something that I want us to learn from your speech.
My observation was actually comparing you to Marina. Both you and Marina are quite soft-spoken, but well-spoken. And Marina, I hope you notice what a massive difference it makes. Even though Werner is soft-spoken and he still needs to work on his vocal variety, don't worry, I know you'll get there, you spoke very evenly, which is actually exactly what you would be looking for. My suggestion to you is, if you had a microphone, is just to work on that a little bit, to experiment, try different things with your voice without the volume, try different tone registers without affecting your volume. Otherwise, I thought this was very well, and I hope to the audience that you can see what a difference a microphone makes, and especially if you use it very well.
Okay, have we done you justice? All right. I hope that it's been an example of more rounded evaluations, and we usually do that in a less paced environment. We've had a lot of speakers in tonight, and so these have been brief speeches, but very often we do 20-minute, 30-minute talks as well. And so they're far more informative, let's say, reflective, etc., etc. And we give a hell of a lot of evaluation into those individual speakers, but I hope that everyone who's spoken tonight has felt the benefits of multiple experienced speakers from multiple other clubs. The last speaker tonight we've barely got time for, and you need to be very gentle with him. He's relatively inexperienced and unconfident, so we're not allowing any evaluations from the floor at all. You put those gloves on, people. Now it's payback time. I used to do a bit of boxing before I ate all my children's food. You keep those gloves on and you punch hard. Right, I've got a message to deliver, and it's a very unpopular one. So I'm going to deliver the last speech. Will you please time me for 4 minutes, and I will finish at 4 minutes 30, which I think is allowable, is it not? Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be a short speech, and I'm actually going to break with microphone tradition at this point, may I? The speech is a pathway on engaging humour, and I hope you'll include my humour from earlier, because it's not going to be humorous now. And it's a level 5 speech, it's a leadership speech, and it's something that I actually believe in as well. It's not just something that I'm going to talk about to fill the space. And in a way, it's a sneaky one, because it fits in exactly with this joining theme that we've been using tonight. So that's my pathway bit. I'm messing with timer actually. Sorry, can you please start the timer? When I came to Toastmasters just over a year ago, all I wanted to do was find somewhere that was of intellectual stimulation outside of the house. And my wife wanted rid of me. Right? She wanted me out of there. And the kids probably too. And I was looking around for something like a lecture society or a debating society, and I couldn't find anything. And then I tried Toastmasters, and I have to say, and this is me being brutally honest, it was a very, very mixed setup. I felt that there was a need, sure, it's a clever option, it's a clever entity, a clever society, to help nervous, non-practiced speakers to improve. And I wish that I'd joined it 25 years ago. You know, I'm a veterinarian by background, and I have to lecture, and I teach a lot of postgraduates and a lot of undergraduates. And I've still got plenty to learn. I can see that with the Toastmasters pathways, I genuinely believe that. But I also think that the corporate overview of how to make Toastmaster clubs function and to constantly be budding off new clubs of 3 members, 4 members, it doesn't work. It's a nonsense. You give up a school night. I don't have that many nights to give up. I don't know about you. And you come unfed and unwatered at many clubs, and you give up this working school night to come and sit in a little group that quite rapidly you get comfortable with, right? And people are so nicey-nicey in this soft evaluation way, and you deliver a very short speech, which quite frankly, outside of sales pitch terms, that's not how most workplaces work. If you're doing an elevator pitch for 5 minutes or something, maybe less, fine, it works like that. But most of the time you're being asked to run something for your company, or deliver a speech for a club, or a eulogy, or a wedding toast, or something else. Most of the time we don't get that. We have what we have here tonight, deliberately. A 4 to 6 minute, a 5 to 7 minute, that kind of speech. And you've got great people evaluating you. You've got dedicated people who sometimes have been really burnt in. Where's the challenge for them? I think that tonight I wanted to showcase the fact that if we got 50, 60 people in a room, it's a different game. We're not playing solitaire. You are not in the business of playing ping pong, as I put on a WhatsApp message not so long ago. You are in the business of something effortful. This isn't going to a film club. It's not going to a wine tasting society where you can just rock up and enjoy it at ease. You have to make the effort to put together such excellent speeches, okay? With insight, with thought. And then I don't think that you're sufficiently critiqued and rewarded for it. You need that rounded team evaluation for it. And at the same time, we're kept segmented and fragmented. I don't think it's a game to play long term. And so I don't want to maintain the parochial nature of clubs within a geographic space that allows us to get in the car and drive 5 minutes down the road to go and join someone else. I also don't have every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday available to just keep on doing that. So I sincerely hope that we consider whether with some clubs a sensible merger is possible. It's joining forces. It's co-joining. And Toastmasters plus Toastmasters actually still equals Toastmasters. Okay? And I think that you've seen on one-time event tonight that people can come into a room and share a commonality and play a game of football, play a game of rugby, with sensible team numbers and sensible, helpful and very diverse inputs. And so it is my hope in this leadership project that we will encourage that foster that collaborative approach, and that we'll see more of each other over time on this soil and on your soil, but that we can sensibly work towards determining a more effective way to function one night of the week that we do give up. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Notoriously bad for stepping over my own time. Go on.
Very close, no. 4 minutes 43 seconds.
4 minutes 43? Okay, that's unusual. Okay, and Romario, please.
Toastmasters plus Toastmasters still equals Toastmasters. Well done, love that.
All right, thank you. Are you done?
Yeah. The other one I like is we need to foster that collaborative approach. Don't just stuck with it.
All right, thank you. Perhaps now it's the right time for questions, whilst my evaluator, who is Stef Viljoen, my own club, no. He was the only one who stepped up. Whilst we're waiting for the evaluator, would you please come up with questions rather than evaluations at this point? Yes, please.
Hello, Jaco. So I've only been in Toastmasters. I've only been in Toastmasters for 2 months, and my joining of Toastmasters word of if you got that one was very like spontaneous and sporadic, and I kind of just ended up in there. I I've never really thought in the way that you've thought about it. How come you are so intentional about the seriousness of Toastmasters? You always have like, this fiery passion that you see Toastmasters with a vision of where it's going and collaborative effort. How many people share that view? How can you share it? How can you possess that?
Thank you. I'm used to working in teams, and it has been beaten into me from a young adult age that a collaborative approach is astonishingly useful. Now, I work as a vet, I'm a normal general practice vet. I worked in general practice veterinary medicine for 7 years, and you work very much as your own individual entity. So there's very little feedback. So you come out as an undergraduate, you supposedly know it all, which you really don't, I can tell you that. Dunning-Kruger effect is what you're talking about. And off you set, and you pretty much don't interact with anyone else because you're just so busy. And then in a hospital environment, and I've worked in veterinary hospital environments across the world, and I've worked in 2 human hospital environments part-time for 14 years. And there, a whip gets taken to your backside, okay? And you get taught at a very early stage that you need to listen to, they're not waffly inputs, these are very terse, precise, scientific, they're usually very accurate opinions, okay? And so you see that you cannot play that game. It's like going and boxing against the same person every day, all right? You learn something. It is not the same as being put in the ring with someone who's actually a national boxing champion and just sparring a little bit, learning that you know nothing, all right? And you get those punches from other people, and you start realizing that life improves slowly for you.
Do you, 2 questions. Is this your regular meeting evening?
Yes.
Okay, and then do you see this collaborative style becoming a regular thing, visiting different clubs? Or is it something you want to do on a permanent basis?
Yeah.
One meeting every week?
Okay, I'm going to ask people for help, so I'm going to approach specific individuals to help me with this. Obviously, we've only got so much time. So right now, I see this as collaborative, and we just arrange it occasionally. But we've already got speech contests, and our club this year, we initiated the debate thing with Fernando. So I've been doing a lot of talks at other clubs. We're already doing a lot of outreach. There's only so many hours in the day. To me, we get usually somewhere between 15 and 35 people turning up at our meetings. Low for us now is 15. A year ago it was 8, all right? But we've kicked up the numbers, we literally doubled them. 15 to 35 is okay, but really it should be 35 every time, okay? When I come to the proper talk at your club, not this motivational leadership thing, I'll show you. I think really the numbers are 50 to 60, and then you can have a safe space for the beginners, and you can introduce them into this environment, and they can chop and change, and we can rotate the experienced speakers out. I don't really want just occasional collaborations. I actually think merger is the way forward. And this idea that we've got 40 years at Pretoria East and 25 years here or whatever else it is, at the end of the day we all suffer from not being able to collaborate properly. And if you think about it in this way, the membership changes quite rapidly in a club over time. The membership from 5 years ago is held together by 1 or 2 scaffolders, but actually people on the Exco are often new fresh faces anyway. If everyone in your club the Exco got run over by a bus, right, we would integrate you the next week. There'd be no difference here, right? It's a venue and a date change, that's the key figure. The rest of it is just psychological faff, in my view. And you can procrastinate about it, or you can do something positive and useful about it. And you can build your numbers slowly over a year, or you can say we'll merge, and the next week your meeting's better, and every week after that.
Sorry.
Yes.
Does it take away from the number of people that have to speak? So now, let's say in my plans, I plan to speak every time at the meeting. So it means that I'll have to stand out and allow other people to speak if we are not in a club.
Yeah, I think you will find that in most clubs, you've got a balance point. And I'm arguing only that the balance point is in the wrong way, wrong place. It doesn't mean I'm right, it's just my opinion. So if we take a busier club, the busiest club in Pretoria by numbers on membership is Pretoria East. Okay? But I think I'm right in saying that your turnout for some things like speech contest and individual nights, it's not always as great as the membership allows. Yes?
There are occasions.
Yeah. And then you've got this issue that we all have, where you've got exco successions. So, look, you could be in a speech of club of one. You could be giving a speech to yourself every night, okay? And you're not going to improve. It's no good to you. Somewhere there's a balance point. And my argument is the two-room approach with a combined club gives maturity and critical mass. It gives a space for young and nervous speakers, all right, like Jacob, to come in and not feel inhibited by the last speaker, right? It gives them a separate, seriously though, for the nervous speakers there are many, it gives them a separate safe space, and then they can come and dabble in. They're not excluded, there's still the social. They can choose not to speak and just come and sit in the main room as a brand new speaker or guest. But then if you're a dyed-in-the-wool, I've been in Toastmasters for 5 years, you can bet your bottom that it's going to get more of a roasting with more experienced speakers available as well in the room. And not everybody feels obliged to turn up. Last bit I'm going to say, and I really shouldn't, but last bit, every club that I've been to, they've been burnt out exco members. Right? Every club that I've been to, and it's been half or more.
Some questions?
Oh, last one, and then I think I better. What's the time? Someone give me that time. All right.
Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to.
Thanks.
Just wanted to ask. So I like the collaboration thing. I've been reading quite a lot of Dr. Deming, who's the quality expert.
Yeah.
And one of his keys is collaboration, which really feeds into what you're talking about. Another thing that he talks about is that is very big on is training. Now, I don't know, what I thought is maybe there could be places of training for a certain type of speech, like business people come together and have a section where you do business presentations. Now you've got all of your people who are interested in that and who will probably do it on a daily basis, coming together for the same sort of thing, and then you get that meter of feedback for the business situation. You also, I think the pathways don't really. I suppose you could do a business speech somewhere in the middle there, but then some of them don't really fit that exactly what you want to put forward. So that was just a thought. I wanted maybe a little bit of feedback on that.
Okay, thank you. I think the idea of partitioning into individual areas is actually really good. Will you not record me for this bit, Stefan, or at least promise not to put this bit on YouTube? So the gentle bit is that we already do a lot of that here, all right? We do a lot of bespoke, individual training in specific areas. So we've done things like job interviews, one night of it. Okay, that's realistically useful for people. We've done things like impromptu boardroom dressing down, right? Midrand. So that we try and make him feel intimidated and put him in a really awkward situation. Because it's going to happen in real life and someone's angry, boss, investors, whatever it is, and dress that person down, see how they respond to it. Okay? This isn't fun, this is learning. Soon we're going to do an impromptu night. Probably shouldn't reveal this, but I'll spring it on people anyway, but as a surprise, we're going to do an internal impromptu night where I'm going to ask people to just deliver a eulogy, depending on their age. Or I'm going to ask them impromptu to deliver a wedding address. Because at some point, most of us have to stand up and do something like that. Someone's not here, oh, you're going to do the speech for the wedding, or the birthday celebration or something. So we're going to do a little bit of that. And I think bringing in these focused people in a specific focus, it could be an academic focus, a business focus, or anything else, could be great. Now this is the bit that I don't want to put on. I actually came up with a great one. I really wanted to put this on as a night. We do a lot of different nights, I'll tell you more later. One of them, you're going to close your ears, ladies. It was going to be called Big Bosses and Bad Bitches. And I was told that's not very Toastmaster. But maybe I'll do it anyway. bosses is we've got a few people we know who are CEOs, and bring them in, and then you sit down in front of them and do a business presentation,
Yes.
an elevator pitch, right? Okay, because that's, you know, if you're in that area and you really are, you're an entrepreneur, or you need to do something like a sales pitch to your manager, that you can do that, and you're doing it with people who really are there, right? They could actually offer you a job. Okay, so that's one thing. And the bad bitches was just to bring people in on the night. I was going to do the same thing, but I was going to intersperse it with top models, male and female, right? Actually, and then you go in there and you have a first date situation. Now let's see how comfortable you feel, right? when you're talking to the next Halle Berry or something, you know, let's just see how comfortable you feel, even as an experienced Toastmaster. I thought that would bring people in. Anyway, now you can turn on the recording again. Okay, I'm way over time. Hello, Teal. Please, where are we? What's the real time? Okay, so we've got the hard stop at 2040. Well, they'll come through when they come through, but maybe Tribal, could you just go and have a look and see how they're getting on?
I think they're done because we were just checking.
Okay, just invite them through, I think it just said, please. So they were doing, to show you a different session as well, they were doing an informal mentoring session now, tutoring session at the end of it. Now they're coming back through to join us. I think, let's do the bit that's relevant to our room before they come in. Worder, please can you deliver your report for Word of the Day? No, you can shout from the back, it's fine. Thank you.
I'm a bit heartbroken, unfortunately. I like the initiative for you. It gives more than one word that people can incorporate, but unfortunately I think people were maybe a bit stressed, so they forgot about the flexibility of, if you're feeling comfortable, I think you have a bit more flexibility to add in impromptu words. However, as usually, Paul is the winner, and the reward was real. I mean, you did get a little drink there on the side, so he did miss out, unfortunately. But yeah, so for round one, it was Titi, and then Paul, Shakes, joint, but use joint in a different manner as well, stiff joints. So I'm not sure if that counts. Connecting, team, conjoining, commonality, team members, collaborative. And they use the word join, so on point. So that's my overall great initiative. I think we can do synonyms again. I think it's a great play on a word of the day.
Something different.
But I'll get you a drink afterwards.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Perfect timing because Professor Wilkinson, our very own counsellor, please can you come and deliver the General Evaluator's report. We're running slightly behind, so can we hold you to the 2 minutes?
For the one round of applause. Really makes me feel comfortable as we agglutinate in this room after having broken away. So I celebrated my 31st marriage anniversary. Mary, who's the joy, the word of Mary, joy. I would have got less time if I killed her, but the trick is, did you enjoy yourselves this evening? Timing and starting at the other time. Paul's time of 8:30 or 18:30, at exactly 18:40, so I'm not going to get into that technical detail. I'm going to talk about the event. This idea of conjoining and coalescing and congregating and making sure that we come together and we experience other people that we've not met, that we see in passing. And we all have something in common. We have Toastmasters in common. We have the passion for speaking in common. We have the passion for evaluating. Christine, let's give Christine a big round of applause. all past 7 minutes, but that's okay. We'll give her. The point is, she did exceptional evaluations with a bit of learning, a bit of teaching, a bit of coaching. And that's what happens in these evenings. We don't have the same 4 people standing up and doing the same thing, and we applaud and we give them the trophies again. We just rotate the trophies. I had my doubts, Paul, to be honest, and I was like, gimmicky. Let me see if I actually go and surround myself with people that I don't know and that have only that in common, Toastmasters. And I found that the experience was actually quite exceptional. As we came in and we embraced the concept together, like 7, I think. As we embraced it, the energy in the room was palpable, right? Yes. People were like, what am I getting myself into? We met somebody tonight who didn't want to come. She was nervous. But your energy was contagious. You were sharing with us your ideas. You spoke too long. You got a finesse there, cracking jokes and diverting our attention and making sure, bring it together, unite the ideas. You're doing something different. We've assembled 11, right? Where's my drinks? I don't have a drink. You've assembled people with that common goal to improve ourselves. And somebody said it in my room that I went to, and I must tell you, the 2 speeches I heard, with no criticism to Stef, I love him like a son, and the other guy, whoever spoke. These speeches were exceptional in the other room. They were in the wrong room. The 3 people that spoke were in the wrong room. What they're going to work on is their confidence and coming across to this room by their choice, not yours. That's what they're going to work on, is their actual confidence to move across to this room. The concept of gathering to make sure that we learn from each other. There's 3 things that you do in life. Yourself, Christine was explaining it in there, so you look at yourself. Thanks, Emma. Have you got your speech ready? Come to the front. Emma was exceptional. Let's give her a word. As you rejoin us, as you rejoin us, what I was saying you were exceptional. In your presentation there, as you spoke, you brought this whole idea of people that are, and I said it there, think that they're mediocre and they're actually above average, but they don't have the self-belief. And that's something you're going to do by allowing them to observe people with excellent skills. It's like golf. You mentioned golf earlier. When I play with a person with a scratch, handicap, or better, I don't look at him because I know it's going to mess up my game. If I watch what he's doing, I spend the rest of the 18 holes and the 120 shots trying to imitate him. But in your process, this thing that you've created, you've allowed us to come and observe at different levels a comfort, and Toastmasters is comfortable. And so I encourage you to do it some more, to do it again, to determine and find the audience, because I must tell you, I'd like to see exceptional speakers come to the front in this room. People that are contest winners, people that do keynote addresses, people that speak publicly for money, because then I can see that's the ultimate, that's where I want to be. If you put people in this room that are still finding their way and just want to test their ability, it's going to disappoint. I want to see exceptional speakers in this room so that I can see from them how to imitate and copy and duplicate what they're doing. Everybody had fun? Am I right? Yeah. 2 minutes, and you know I'm a DTM, so it says do not time me. I don't see any. The trick about this gathering is to make sure that we go and teach others, right? Is to take what we've learned and take it back to our clubs and say, I had an exceptional experience, but if you want to join the club, rather come to Vital, we need the members. Go back to your clubs and teach them what you learned tonight. That's the way we're going to get stronger as a region. I just want to thank a few people. Christine, you're exceptional. Your inputs are so educational. Your wisdom that you're bringing, your intent is visible, and I appreciate you. Paul, I'm going to end with you. Elsabe, you were so natural inside there. I really like the energy you bring. And the trick is to make sure that more people do what you do. So you need to mentor a few of the people that were in that room if they're from your club, because you've got something that's that X factor. The only awkward for me was the gentleman, the SAA and the Wordo. I never caught your names at the beginning. And although you're all familiar, you've got that comfort zone here in this Pretoria Advanced Club, not everybody knows you. Like Christine said, she's famous, I'm infamous. Not everybody knows you. So say your names, let us hear it properly. Then we're going to have a sense of comfort. Last thing, tagging us. Because we want to get to know each other. My gentleman from KwaZulu-Natal that's going to translate this whole speech into Zulu, he mentioned something about names. We want to be comfortable. And we know Paul. Now let me talk about Paul. Last comment. I went to a public opportunity to speak, and I was really struggling because there was a heckler in the crowd. And I was like, I'm going to beat this guy. I couldn't find the words. He was really persistently nagging at me. And at the moment when I was stepping towards him, Paul stepped up like that Warren Buffett in the Boxing Federation. Let's get ready to rumble! But he didn't say that. He said, allow me. And he finished off an evening that could have turned very volatile and very aggressive. And in that moment, I said, I want to learn from you. And tonight I learned from you. I appreciate you. I think you're doing something quite extraordinary. We all learn from you. Let's give Paul a big round. Let me get back to the long speaking. I wasn't speaking too long.
I think I better keep an eye just on the time because I don't want to break my own hard stop. I haven't done that. So the hard stop's at 21:40, it's in 2 minutes. Normally we would do on-point feedback, and I think we've got too many people here, but we're on the social group. So if you've got honest, terse comments, please put them on there so that we polish this. And that is what we've done with many of our templates. We have spent time as a club with many people's inputs polishing them. And if you come to, this is an experiment. So for the bad and the good that you've seen tonight, this is actually our first template of this style. If you come and join us on others, you'll experience storytelling, audio, comedy. We've had lectures, we've had TED Talks, we've had deep, meaningful reflections, and we've had book reviews. You will see a wide variety that I can honestly say I don't think I've seen in any other Toastmasters club. We start fostering it, it'll bud off into others, and/or, I think, seriously consider from a Roots and Exco membership upwards. Let's seriously consider bringing a couple or 3 clubs together and making it a regular venue night. How do you do it? You poll your members and find out how many people can do what nights. And you describe in a military style what are acceptable losses. There are always other clubs, geographically nearby, available on other nights. Maybe I can't come to my own club, depending on the vote for how it goes. But I would sincerely urge you to think about it seriously. We are still at the point of 1 minute away from the hard stop. So I'm not going to reiterate the thanks massively. I just briefly, Christine, you're a star, you're a darling. Thanks for all the help. Elsabe, the whole Exco, thanks for bringing this together, and everybody for turning up and being willing participants. I hope you've been well watered, well fed, and good night.